Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we are taking a look at Venom, guys. Not only have you guys requested this video, Make Venom Great, for a long time. I've seen so many comments on so many videos, but also, guys, it's almost March. March is Venom Appreciation Month over at Marvel, and they're going to like Venomify a lot of different characters and a lot of different heroes with the Venom symbiote and on the covers and stuff like that. So I thought, what better time than now to cover Venom, cover why he's great, cover why he's not so great, and what Netmarble can do to improve him, just in case, fingers crossed, pinkies out, and race to the sky, Netmarble does intend to coincide with the Marvel Appreciation Month for Venom and give this character a tweak and bring him up to par with a lot of the other characters that have been getting tweaks lately, like Black Panther, Black Bolt, and the Hulks, and others. So let's jump into it, guys. Eddie Brock, the Venom, the symbiote, is so iconic, so classic, one of, if not the best Spider-Man villain ever. So what are Venom's strengths in this game, in the current iteration that we have him in? Well, aside from having an ugly looking but pretty decent uniform, Venom is most well known for his CC, his crowd control. Now, if you don't know what that means, you should unsubscribe, but first you should go and watch that Ronin video where I discuss it, because it's actually really important. When you get into Shadowlands and you get to stage 21 and you fight the Venom boss, you're gonna have a bad time. The crowd control actually frustrates the hell out of me and a lot of other people, and it's, you know, it's fair because I feel like it very accurately represents Venom and what he does. The fact that he is so oppressive and he kind of stalks you and he just dominates you, and that domination is very well illustrated with his skills like Deadly Maw, with the Fear, Lethal Symbiosis, where he pulls you in and then he guard breaks you. There's tons of guard breaks, there's tons of stuns and interrupts, and just overall his kit feels very true to the character and very thematically fitting for the kind of nightmarish, you know, world that Venom leads you into when he's attacking you and trying to take you down. So that part I do really like about the character. As well, I do have to give them props. They gave Venom a pretty strong tier 2 passive. It's not perfect, nobody's perfect, but it's almost perfect for Venom. 52% skill damage is a lot, 45% bonus damage is also a lot, and 45% dodge ignore is a lot. So he does get a lot of extra utility added to the character, and the dodge ignore fits so perfectly with the fact that all of the spiders, you know, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Silk, and stuff like that, they get dodge or guaranteed dodge. So guaranteed dodge is directly countered by dodge ignore. So that's just perfect. I love that he's kind of the antithesis, because that's what he should be. As well, I really like his Infestation 4-star passive. When he gets below 30%, he gets a little buff there to his all speed and all attack, and then he increases character size. I love little features like that. You guys know the place in my heart that I have for the shrinking Ant-Man, for the growing Kamala Khan. So having another one like that in the form of Venom, and the fact that he just gets so much bigger and bulkier, is just awesome. He looks like a wrestler on juice. He looks like Bane, if I'm going to make my obligatory DC reference. However, I do want to point out one thing. The 10% all speed when stacked with the tier 2 passive of 35% all speed brings us to a grand total of 45% all speed. Keep that number 45% all speed in mind, because that is a 45% buff to attack speed and a 45% buff to movement speed. So just remember that number, because it'll be important very soon. Now, aside from what Venom does well, we need to find out what Venom kind of lacks, what he's kind of not doing so well. Thank you for the Dimension Rift. For starters, Venom has zero survivability. If you play with Venom in a game mode where you can't use CC, like for example World Boss, Venom is just KO'd. He's not really going to do very well unless you're a master kiter and a master manual dodging character and player, because he has zero iframes, he has zero immunity, he has zero heals, and he has zero invincibility. So he's very lacking in those staple defensive features that we've come to expect from, you know, strong villains and heroes. To boot, and on top of that, and what makes things a little bit more frustrating, is that Venom has very long animations. Even with capped attack speed, he still roots himself for a lot of different animations, and he still puts himself in harm's way unnecessarily and to his detriment, because he has no survivability. In addition to that, guys, the 35% all speed buff on the tier 2 passive is over the cap, and that's what kills me about this. The cap for attack speed, if you guys don't know, is 130%. You cannot get any more than 130% attack speed. You can get more, but it won't apply. It won't make you any faster. So the fact that they gave Venom essentially 45% increased attack speed, I mean, even with 0 attack speed on cards, and 0 attack speed from team-ups or anything like that, you would still be 15% over the cap just based on his base stats at tier 2. Now, I know there's the argument for, well, if he gets his attack speed debuffed by a character, then he'll still be at the cap. Well, let's be realistic here. There are no, debuff metas in the game. There are no world bosses that debuff your movement speed or your attack speed by that much. I know Black Dwarf debuffs your movement speed, but let's be honest, if you're trying to kite with Venom against Black Dwarf anyways, you're trying to make the game intentionally too hard. But I don't know why they did this. I think it's pretty stupid. They don't do this for any other character. They don't overshoot the limit or the cap on different stat values in order to give them some kind of, resist to debuff. I think that's really silly, and I think they should address that, and I think they should change it. I mean, even if he got a 20% all speed buff and then they gave him a different passive, or they increased his skill damage and bonus damage, I would be fine with that. He doesn't necessarily need a stronger tier 2 passive. Heck, he could use a weaker tier 2 passive if they addressed his other skills and the problems that he has and the lack of survivability. But right now, as it stands, 45% attack speed is way overkill, and it just doesn't fit the character. It's kind of dumb. The third thing that I think is really frustrating about Venom is that he only has one skill that deals mind damage. And I think if they want to go that route with Venom, they should go all in. I mean, why does Deadly Maw deal mind damage, but the other ones don't? The other ones all come from his symbiote and its attacks. I guess the only attack that could potentially not be mind damage would be the Symbiote Surge, where he just lunges at you. But all of the other skills, you're shooting the symbiote, you're doing some kind of symbiote-related attack, so why are they not all mind damage? Just having one skill as mind damage makes it a lot harder to scale Venom's attacks and scale his damage effectively. And I think they could boost his damage by a lot and make the character a little bit more thematically sound if they just changed all or most of his attacks to mind damage. And I don't think many people would mind, because no one plays as Daisy with that stupid Quake uniform. Now, what's good, what's bad is all well and good. Anyone can give you that information, maybe not as nicely as I can, but still. The real juice, guys, comes from the fixes. We gotta get the skinny down. We gotta get the fix in. We gotta make our predictions for what Netmarble could do, quote-unquote, should do to fix our big, black, long-tongued friend. I mean, he's obviously down for some party favors, so figure it out. Look at those abs. Look at those shoulders, guys. We gotta give Venom some love. So how do we give Venom some love? Well, there's a couple of routes we can go with it. As always, guys, I'm going to first touch on the things that I think Netmarble will do, as in, I think if they're going to address Venom at all, these are probably the fixes we're going to see. And then I will go into the more experimental stuff of what I truly want to see, which would take a lot more programming and coding on their end, and probably is a long shot at best in terms of what they can fix. So first of all, I think they can fix his tier 2 passive. I think they can tweak it just a little bit. It can be a footnote in a patch update. People will notice it who are diehard fans, but it's not going to ruffle any feathers. It's not going to upset anyone. No one's going to be mad if Venom gets his tier 2 passive tweaked, especially because I think most people that tier 2'd him either didn't care that it's over the cap or would be happy if he got some other benefit than an over the cap attack and movement speed. I mean, they don't really need Roadrunner in Venom form in the game. The second thing I think that Netmarble could do that's realistic is to give Venom the same treatment that they gave Carnage with his tier 2. So they could make Deadly Maw or Lethal Symbiosis an invincibility triggerable effect, or an immunity effect like we have with Corvus and some other characters. So basically when you press this skill, when you use it, Venom gets 4 or 5 or 6 seconds of invincibility or immunity or whatever. I think that would be really cool. I think that's something that could fit thematically with what they're doing with the other symbiote, Carnage, and it would make sense as far as some of the other power-leveled characters that they have recently patched, like Black Panther and Black Bolt and those guys. Another thing they could introduce for Venom is to give him an apply to all team immunity to web effect on his leadership. That would make him just totally #1 hard counter to all of the spiders, and that would make sense given the fact that that is what Venom does. He hunts Spider-Man, he's trying to kill him, get revenge on him, all that stuff. At least originally, things have changed, I know. but it would fit with the character, and it would continue this kind of back and forth between Spider-Man and his allies, and then Venom and stuff like that. And it would also suit the fact that as a symbiote, he has increased ignore dodge, which fits again with the fact that it counters the guaranteed dodge from a lot of the speed characters, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, etc. One thing that I have to touch on as a fix, guys, or as something that would just make fans so unbelievably happy: new uniforms. Venom has some of the best uniforms waiting in the wings. Agent Venom, Anti-Venom. I mean, guys, these are classic as fuck. People would lose their minds if these got added to the game. This is on some Doctor Strange Karnak level, besides the pill-shaped head. And it would just make the fanboys go berserk. Netmarble would win a lot of points and a lot of, you know, karma, so to speak, with that, and I think it would be awesome, and I think it would give them a lot of design space and a lot of room to be creative and reimagine Venom as not a top tier character, but as a more competitive character overall in the game. As far as the more experimental changes go and the more kind of wild or out there ones that I have, I do think that they could give Venom a webbing skill. And I think they could give him a webbing skill because we know that he does use webbing in the comics. He did adapt that from the symbiote's time with Peter Parker, with Spider-Man. And I think that if they added that into the game, it would be really cool because Carnage doesn't have any webbing, but that sort of fits the character more succinctly since he's Venom's son. But Venom does have the webbing. He does have that iconic white patch on his hands, so I think that would be really cool. They could also work the webbing attack in as a way to give him iframes. So for example, if they change Lethal Symbiosis, so it's basically an attack where Venom swings around on a web around the opponent for about 3 seconds and webs them up slowly, and then gradually they become this cocoon of webbing and they're CC'd for like 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. That would look amazing. That would be totally a Venom thing to do, and it would provide the two purposes of introducing the webbing to Venom, which is something that the character actually does do and does fit, and it would give him some survivability with an iframe. I would love to see that. I doubt it, but I think it would be awesome. Netmarble, call me. We can work something out over the phone. I can show you some love. You can come back to my crib. You can see how I live. Another idea I got from Carnage because I was thinking about the two characters and how they're compared to each other, and the idea is basically similar to the camouflage strike. So when Carnage does his camouflage strike, he drops these blobs, and these blobs will do one of two things. They'll either heal Carnage or his friends if he picks them up, or they will do an all-speed debuff on the enemy. And so those blobs and that kind of bit and piece and part of the symbiote is what I wanted to show on Venom and what I wish Venom had. So my idea was not to rework his 4-star passive, but maybe to put it in his tier 2 passive, maybe to put it in as a separate skill, or maybe just to put it in as his 4-star passive, to give him an effect where when he goes below a certain amount of health, which stays in line with his infestation effect, he will drop these blobs, these black blobs of the Venom symbiote, and then when those things follow the enemy around, they will hit the enemy and do dot damage, or they will reduce the enemy's crowd control resist. So let's say the idea is Venom gets hit, Venom takes a lot of damage, he's dying, the symbiote's trying to protect him because we know that the symbiotes are super effective at defending themselves. So then the symbiote starts to like drop extra pieces of itself onto the ground in the form of those blobs. Those blobs will latch onto the enemy and reduce their crowd control resistance to like a negative number. So then the next time Eddie Brock and the next time the symbiote and Venom does a CC effect like the fear or the stun or the bind, instead of lasting 3 seconds, it lasts 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds. And so it would be really interesting in manual play because you'd have to dodge those blobs before you kill Venom. Otherwise, he could trap you in a ring of CC and a string of attacks and kill you. And it would make the character a lot more deadly as he approaches death, which does, you know, suit the symbiote and its self-defense and its survivability. So I would love to see something like that as well. Now, I know some of those are a little bit more out there, but I do think that something does need to be done about Venom, and I think that March is the perfect time for Netmarble to take a look at Venom and tweak just a couple of things. Even if they just add an iframe, even if they just add a small heal or something, show the character a little bit of love, throw out a uniform, it would really make the fans happy, it would really make me happy, and, you know, it would really be a move in the right direction for Netmarble and the PR and all that stuff. So, of course, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think about my ideas for Venom. Is Venom great? Is he not? Does he need help? What help does he need? And what ideas do you guys have? I'm super curious what you guys would do to Venom, how you would fix this giant mass of a man. So of course, guys, let me know what your thoughts, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.